What's going on, guys? Welcome to Dime Dropper 24-minute recap, episode 6. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe on all platforms: YouTube at Dime Dropper Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and of course to follow us on social media at Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. So for today's episode, we are joined by our first guest. As we remember, I said on my initial announcement video that if you are a friend of mine and want to get on a podcast, come watch a game with me. And tonight, I have my good friend, a resident Laker fan, but an LA fan above all, Jordan. Welcome to Dime Dropper for his first 24-minute recap guest.
Thanks for having me, Darian. I'm glad to be a part of it. Been watching you go crazy lately, so.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
with the Mavs recap?
With the lives and
I feel it.
And with your passion for basketball.
Going crazy like that.
Yeah.
So let's get into the Clipper game that we just saw. Clippers winning the game ultimately 124 to 101, bouncing back from the 50-point drubbing of the Mavs.
Necessary recovery, but they did it well.
Very necessary.
Yeah.
What did you think of the start? We started out, it was 16-7. I was like, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a repeat. I was hoping that it wouldn't, but they seemed to pull it together. I mean, they held their own for the first. We had, some standout players. I liked Kennard in the beginning. He started off a little shaky, but definitely picked it up, back up and recovered well. And they started playing more methodically towards the middle of the first, which was good to see because that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we definitely started out shaky, especially George Paul or Rated G. He was looking like Rated G.
Yeah,
they
George Paul.
PG as the game went on. But the real tone setter for me, in the beginning, we were a little bit frantic.
Playing very too eagerly, I think. Yeah, Ibaka, specifically.
Ibaka took a quick rush three. Beverly got beat the first second of the game off the ball. But then, who really changed the game for me was Sweet Lou. Lou Will, this is his first real vintage Lou Will performance tonight. Came off.
Yeah, he was in his bag.
Yeah, fully in his bag, going left, hitting those jumpers that he's so good at, getting the pick and roll. And he completely changed the game. And, Lou and Trez, who needs Lou and Trez? We got Lou and Zoo.
Yeah, literally. The Zubac was a great sub, and then obviously they complement each other's styles really well. So it was nice to see them just go off.
I know that second quarter we completely blew the game open. Terrence Mann, I've been saying it for how many weeks now, guys, or how long, how many months that I want him to play more minutes than Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson actually didn't even have that horrible of a game tonight.
Yeah, Terrence Mann completely surprised me, honestly. This is my first time really seeing him play like that in full. And, he was great.
Yeah, T-Man, good hustle, good defense, had a really nice pass, looking like Terrence Magic Johnson for one bit with that little look.
Yeah, that was sweet.
To Kennard, who I thought had a really good game. He's
sure.
Gaining in confidence. He passed up a lot of good shots in the first couple of games, but then he hit a couple threes tonight and just was letting it fly, getting in the pick and roll. And the Wolves were playing right into our hands. It was almost too easy.
I know, especially in the second half of the game, they just kind of mentally gave up, it seems.
And, we've been seeing so many blowouts lately with the NBA so far this season.
It's really weird.
And they just keep chucking away, playing into our hands, taking quick shots, not even having real possessions. It's like without Karl-Anthony Towns, I feel like they've lost their belief that they can even really win games.
It's a disconnected team. I mean, you have bits and pieces, but it doesn't seem like they're melding together that well.
They were 2-0 in the beginning of the season. Their main man goes down, and then, that's what happens. But Paul George grew into the game. Ibaka was finishing really well. It's really our rim protection. It's just a huge difference from last season. Having Ibaka, who got a couple blocks. Let's go to the stats right now.
You pulled up the stats.
Yeah, I'm so fucking.
My blind ass can't see. Yeah.
I can't even see them, but here.
Here, I can pull it up.
Paul George with 18, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Kennard with 15.
Yeah, Paul George really stepped up in the second half.
Lou Williams
he locked
led the way with 20. So, yeah, I mean, a fairly all-around performance. Very all-around performance.
Yeah, no, a good team effort. I mean, like we said, they started playing methodically and just stopped going too wild. And once they did, it was just like, okay, well, then they just kept scoring.
Patrick Beverly, we can't forget about, too, was hitting his threes, going back to actually being a real basketball player, not running around, just committing fouls. He was really splashing tonight, and the Clippers just had the right energy. Nicholas Batum again, another really solid night, just doing all the little things. Just having his basketball IQ. He's somebody that I'm starting to rely on to just make sure he's not doing dumb things on defense.
No, he's a vet. I mean, he shows that.
Just not taking dumb shots. So Clippers win big, good win. Nothing too much to be high on in terms of what it means.
Yeah.
It's a good bounce back, gets us going back in the right direction, but those Timberwolves made it too easy.
Yeah, the Clippers had a fire under their ass. But yeah, the Wolves just stopped trying after a certain point. It was weird to see.
So, Jordan, thanks for joining us for this one.
Of course.
We'll have you back in for the chat once we
wrap up. Yeah, I'll head out.
But let's move on to the Celtics, who, here, now we can get a little more up close and personal now. Apologies if you're listening to this via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because just trying to make it good for the live guys here. But so the Celtics, that was actually a really good game, a game I really enjoyed. Sorry for the any Wizards fans or Suns fans or Warriors who played today. I'm gonna get to watch those games at night. Just didn't get the time. Chose the Celtics because I missed their last game, and it was a really entertaining game. Celtics fans wanted to see more Jalen and Tatum being aggressive in the pick and roll, or just being aggressive, getting different kinds of looks. And they started out really well. Jaylen Brown coming off, and he's really improved. It's time to start acknowledging how much better Jaylen. Oh wait, it's gone now. How much better Jaylen Brown has really gotten. He's getting into those mid-range areas. Not only pulling mid-ranges, pulling floaters, just making the right reads, knowing when to go up strong against the big, knowing when to pull a floater, knowing when to pull a mid-range. And he's improved so much. But the Indiana Pacers were doing a good job of, in the beginning, forcing some turnovers on Tatum, preventing him from going sideline, trapping him on pick and rolls. And it was just part of their game plan, I guess. Sabonis was cutting off that sideline really well, letting Tatum just hit his chest and lose the ball. And Indiana was splashing from three, and it was mostly just pick and roll, penetration, kick. Everyone was hitting, whether it was Miles Turner, who was just seemingly hitting everything, Sabonis, who Eastern Conference Player of the Week and well-deserved. Domantas Sabonis is really starting to put himself in a different conversation this season. As you know, we got to start looking at him as maybe one of the top 20 players in the NBA. He is aggressive, and he can hit from mid-range, he can hit from the outside. Malcolm Brogdon, really smart player. Victor Oladipo looked really good tonight. And the Pacers just kind of increased their lead as the Celtics had a second unit. And this is the thing about the Celtics second unit is it's a very young second unit this year. You got guys like Peyton Pritchard, Javonte Green, Rob Williams, Grant Williams. Without Kemba, they're playing with that lineup in like one of Tatum or Jalen. And it's easy for guys to get a little bit lost on defense or not. They're getting used to the NBA still. This Pacers team, who I underestimated, and guys, I'm going to take a full L on this one. I did have the Wizards over the Pacers in my preseason preview, and that's looking like it's going to be way off. That was a little bit of just like Russ and Beal, like favoritism in a way. But as the game went on, the Pacers, it looked like the third quarter Celtics we've seen so far this season, collapsing in the third quarter, turning the ball over. Tice was getting outplayed big time. This was the worst game I remember seeing from Daniel Tice. They were really attacking him in pick and roll, and he was just, he's a smaller guy, but he does have relative, like I've seen him have some nice pins on guys before. He can get up for what he looks like, but he got some really nice blocks, he didn't get some nice blocks. He was getting picked on actually defensively in that pick and roll, and the Pacers were kind of getting whatever they wanted. And Miles Turner was able to hit. He was not able to hit. And Tristan Thompson, I thought, was pretty solid with the double-double. But then when the Celtics went down 17, everything changed when they went to the second unit of, I think it was Jeff Teague, who was poor in the first half, but was a little better in the second half. It was Jeff Teague, Peyton Pritchard, Time Lord Rob Williams, Jason Tatum, and I forget who the other guy was. I think it may have been Jalen. But Peyton Pritchard was really the spark. And we know that what Peyton's capable of here at Dime Dropper because of our connections with the Oregon basketball team. And Peyton Pritchard is showing that he belongs in the NBA, no doubt about it. He was killing it in the pick and roll, playmaking for his teammates, finding Rob Williams, the Time Lord, on the roll, finding him for lobs, kicking it out to shooters, just getting guys involved and also being able to take the big man off the dribble when they drop. He took Sabonis off the dribble several times, got that and one. That had me fired up even. Peyton Pritchard making a huge impact, and honestly, the play of the game, rest in peace, Tommy Heinsohn. This was my first time watching a Celtics game, Celtics broadcast since he passed away with Mike Gorman, and not having Tommy Heinsohn, but I know he would have been loving the steal that Peyton Pritchard got from behind, which led to a Marcus Smart three, and Marcus Smart was really solid from three tonight. The Celtics ended up closing it out, and I think my player of the game, even though Peyton Pritchard was really good, is going to have to be Jason Tatum. Even though Jaylen Brown had another really solid game with, I think it was 22 points, but Jason Tatum, I had no complaints about his shot selection tonight. He was so good at getting into that, what did we say? That mid-range area. We said he was settling for threes too much and just, neglecting to take that shot. He only shot 3 threes tonight. He was 9 of 17 from the field, 27 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Jason Tatum was getting into those mid-range areas, getting into the key, hitting floaters, hitting little mid-ranges. Mostly his floater game, though, which was really on point tonight. He was my player of the game. Marcus Smart, 3 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Solid game for him, 17 points. But Tatum and the Celtics still a little bit lacking on defense. They were a little slow in the first half. Yet again, I know it was a back-to-back, but it was for them as well. Jaylen Brown, 20 points. But Peyton Pritchard, 10 points, 5 assists, 5 boards. I mean, he was fantastic. So the Celtics getting a much-needed win. Huge comeback down from 17 to go 2-2. But honestly, that's all we got today for the Spotify and Apple podcast version. I apologize for, I did advertise this as 24-minute recaps, but sometimes we just don't have the games. I guess I'll set that as a barometer, as a maximum I can go to. But, yeah, hopefully the next episode I'll have a lot more on other teams because of the 3 games tonight, and there'll be more games tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow after the Clipper-Blazers game, and I will have stuff on the games from tonight as well. Until then, see you later. We go on to the live Q&A with the YouTube subscribers. Peace.
Oh, man.
Well, we're on the mic. Yo, sound good, guys? Sound good? Give me a thumbs up. Sound good?
Did they roast me?
No, I don't think so. The Celtics are not deep enough to make the final, Semi Spicer says. Maybe. Hey, yo, your mic is a bit quiet.
Whose?
No, your chat is on. Your mic wasn't picking up audio, but your guest mic was. Oh, I feel.
They couldn't hear you?
Could you guys not hear me that whole time? Is it better now or
They just said it's a bit quiet compared to mine.
You're in the chat right now?
Yes, on my phone. I'm looking at the comments.
No, we could. They're saying we could. They're saying
No, I know. They said it was a bit quiet, but they could hear.
OG Park League point guards right there. 2 OG Park. Oh, Kobe Cannon's in the chat.
Kobe.
Park League point guards right there.
Wow.
Is Jordan a point guard or point forward?
No, I loved the point.
Just not as loud as your guests. We can hear you, but only through your guest mic. My mic is working for the Spotify and Apple podcast version. Sorry about the whole dragging. That was a little makeshift. It's also with the masks and shit. I would have him right next to me, kind of, if we didn't have that mask bullshit.
Yeah, whatever.
But bring in some questions. It's a smaller chat tonight. I don't know. I think the games were blowouts, man. People were getting bored tonight.
Yeah, there wasn't much to watch after like the third and
who's your top 5 right
half
now?
of the third.
Top 5 what? Team Money.
Probably teams.
I feel like when Clippers get Marcus Morris and Kawhi back, they're going to be dangerous. Yeah, I think so too. Maybe. Tell your guest that as a Sixers fan, I love his jersey choice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You got served.
I love 79 Steve, dude. He's one of my best subscribers.
Oh yeah.
He's always on the lives. Always in there. Players.
Good. Shout out 79 Steve.
My top 5 players in the league right now are number 1. I see you, Trey LAC. My number 1 is LeBron. Number 2 is Kawhi. Number 3 is Anthony Davis. Oh, no, Kevin Durant. Number 4 is Anthony Davis. And number 5 is – I'm still going to go with Stephen Curry.
Solid.
There's only been 4 games, so I'm going to reserve judgment. Hey, and I heard the Warriors got a dub tonight, so that's 2 in a row. Looking more and more like that old Warriors and Curry.
If he goes back to his old hair, I'll be more of a fan.
Even though, yeah, I'm still going with Curry as my 5th guy.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler, James Harden, following after that. Luka, Giannis,
yeah.
Jokic. Those are my next guys. Is Phoenix a legitimate playoff team? I like DeAndre Ayton, but don't think he's dominant against other bigs. I think they're definitely a legitimate playoff team. I think they're a 5 seed. That's why I said before the season even started. But I don't think that – I think that they're going to be – I don't know, man. They're not someone to be feared right now, I don't think, because we still got to see, man. But DeAndre Ayton, I agree with you, man. He's a little timid. Do you think the Kings winning right now is a fluke or they can keep it up? I think it's a fluke only because even though I haven't watched one Sacramento – actually, no, I have watched 2 Kings games. Yeah, I'm still going to go with fluke.
Probably a hot streak to start the season.
Yeah,
but they don't really – they're never
they've
really –
done this stuff before. I'm not going to believe the Kings are doing shit.
I used to be a big
Sac Kings,
fan.
not LA. I don't watch hockey. Of course. Desmond Adewakun says – T-Money says Nets better win tomorrow. I agree. Desmond Adewakun says, what did you think of Ibaka presence in the defensive end and on offense? He was great tonight. Great rolling to the basket, great setting screens, got some blocks. I think he finished with 2 blocks.
I was surprised to hear that he, of this decade, has the highest amount of blocks. That's crazy. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but just hearing it, it was wild.
And Mike Fratello was dead on commentary talking about the Wolves chucking themselves out of the game. Like
what was that?
Also, he's funny because D'Lo was getting in the mid-range area in the beginning of the game and he was hitting everything. And then he just started chucking. And we just like, okay, thanks for giving us the ball back. Yeah,
there was a period where he hit a few threes towards the end of the third when it didn't even matter. But
Al Human Being says, how do you feel about the Bucks blowing out Miami? I feel as though it's not a big deal. I think it's a good bounce back win for the Bucks, who kind of were in the same situation as the Clippers. They got embarrassed by the Knicks, so they came back with a point to prove and no Jimmy Butler. So a lot of these this is weird, guys.
Yeah, I don't like seeing it. It's not fun basketball.
A lot of teams aren't showing up to play. It's a lot of back-to-backs. It's kind of weird. Why does the Pelicans have to do to make the playoffs? Close games better, Collins. Then I think they have to close games better, and that comes more on Ingram. But honestly, if you were to give me their schedule in the beginning of the season and said, what would you think they would be at for the first 4 games? I'd say 2-2, and that's what they are. I'd say it's all about health and closing out games for Ingram. That's really the main thing. And then communicating on defense. Also, Lonzo, being able to be a threat and pick and roll. Cock Rivers finally led us over the Raptors. What's your record right now? 3-1, 79, Steve? Johnny Cavede. Giannis is not in my top 5 because Giannis is the type of guy that goes really hard in the regular season. He plays with great intensity, but he's very limited skill-wise. He's extremely predictable. Once you just build a wall, it's just like he either Euro steps or he goes straight into you. And it's very
he's a lumbering body.
Yeah, and his skill always gets exposed in the playoffs. You can just sag off on him, just making sure you don't sag off too much so he gets a running start. And I always will go with the more skilled player, and he always gets exposed by the better team. If your stats drop in the playoffs, that's a clear sign that you're not there yet. You're not a true superstar. Like he is, but like he is because he puts up great numbers against shitty teams in the East in the regular season. He wins a regular season award, and in the playoffs he gets exposed for lack of skill every time. So and then what's funny is
I feel like we've seen these types of players before too.
Yeah, they made him look bad in the playoffs when Chris Middleton won a playoff game, like led the Bucks to winning a playoff game without him. So Giannis has got to do a lot more for me. I want to see.
I like Chris Middleton more. I always have. I guess as far as me paying attention to the more recent Bucks, but I said I've liked Chris Middleton more.
Chris Middleton
in the time that I've been watching the Bucks with Giannis and comparing. But
let me see what these guys are saying. Wolves defense against the Lakers was shitty. I mean, the Wolves defense in general is kind of shitty, especially without Okogie.
In the beginning of what I think
he is playing like a timid bitch who doesn't want to get injured. Kobe Kanan says.
Kobe said that.
Yeah, 79 Steve. We got blown out by the goddamn Cavs. Dude, the Cavs, man. Jeez. Desmond Adewakun. I think Clippers can get the number seed if they take advantage of beating the teams they're supposed to beat. I think that's the 1 seed. If Kawhi helps Clips win it all, is he better than LBJ? Like, what do you mean, all time? Or are you talking about right now?
Yeah, that's a strange question.
Giannis is too easy to scheme against. Yeah, I agree. Steve Nash has only played KD and Kyrie at the same time. Whenever they're not playing, we start to lose. You might have to stagger, man. Especially with Spencer out. We said this, T-Money. They might have to stagger. What's the next game for the Brooklyn? Semi Spicer. What does Gordon Hayward have to do to show his worth of the Hornets? Man's been balling, but he got paid way too much, in my opinion. This is what he is.
That man got the bag.
This is what he is. Like, that's what he's playing great right now, actually. But that's what he's going to be. But he's not the same. He's not that same bounce as he did before the injury. Just doesn't have that same bounce. His numbers look the same, but once again, that's because the NBA is changing. It's gotten even more so emphasis on the threes, emphasis on the spacing, easier to score as it goes on. So
no paint congestion. No paint congestion. It's so weird.
Less than it wasn't even in 2017. Johnny Cavede has to be right now. Tomorrow's Tuna says hi. To our boy, what's up, bro? Are Lakers going to beat the Spurs tomorrow? I think yes, because they're a good team. Championship teams bounce back with losses. So Al Human Being says, what players do you want to see the Clippers trade for this season, or should they keep this roster? Probably too early to tell. I think you said it best. Too early to tell.
Yeah.
Lou Williams was great tonight, so we need that scoring punch sometimes when guys like Paul George can't get it going. However, when Kawhi and Morris are there, Lou Williams becomes less valuable. So that's the thing. Kennard was great tonight.
Maybe not less valuable, just not as needed, I guess.
The problem is he can be a defensive liability. That's the thing with Lou.
I feel you.
But Kennard was great tonight. I like Kennard, dude. Kennard's so much better than Shams. Shams been stinking it up. I think Clippers will be – Desmond Adebayo says, I think Clippers will be fine. All they need is chemistry and games played together. Clips should get D Rose. He will keep saying that. I don't know. That's what Kobe's saying. For Lou Will. How much better is D Rose at defense, though? Like a little bit? I don't know.
Is he more of a scorer?
I don't lock in on games from the Pistons side. Like,
they just said Lou Will was the highest scorer off the bench, and he's the all-time leading scorer off the bench.
He's like old now. He's never made it to the conference finals in his life.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, D Rose isn't young.
Yeah, D Rose isn't the answer. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't really think he is either.
Yeah.
Dude, it's honestly going to come down to like what we didn't. I would have loved to get a playmaking PG to go along with it. I think people exaggerated how much we needed it, but I think we needed. It would have been nice to have another guy that can create. Kennard is showing that he can be a bit of a playmaker, and so is Batum. But like, guys, you know what it all comes down to in the end.
You guys need another Chris Paul.
Kawhi and Paul George in the playoffs. Like, if they're healthy, like that's all it's going to come down to, really. Like, let's be real. It's really going to come down to them. It's especially Paul George. So.
Well, he never shows up in the playoffs, so.
Never or recently. He did in Indiana. He didn't show it.
Yes, he did, and then he stopped. There was a season in Indiana, I'm pretty sure, where
he's had better regular seasons, but he's not playoff.
I remember, I think it was maybe 2016, 2017, or maybe even 15, when all the because probably was still in high school, and that's when I started noticing him. Like everyone started loving him, and I never really saw the hype beyond he's good in the regular season because he was exciting to watch, but when it came down to it, Paul George,
yeah.
As far as I've been watching him, he's always been that way. So I guess I didn't really notice a shift.
Collins Dang says, what do you think of Collins, Sexton, and Darius Garland? Sexland? I think they're actually really solid young players. I went to see them play against the Clippers last year at Staples Center. Sexton's a pretty solid player. He's got a solid shot. Three, especially mid-range, he's actually pretty good. And he's gotten better, it seems. He's making strides. And then Garland's really shifty. He just had a problem with making shots last year. But it seems like he's improved a little bit so far this season. I have them finishing 13th because of their injuries. I knew they had a good starting five, but I didn't trust their injuries. Now Kevin Love goes down already. And guys, what's going on with these injuries? We talk about resting. Everyone's resting. Everyone's getting injured more than ever.
This seems like a very soft league, and still people are getting injured.
Kevin Love, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, that just happened. And Ricky Rubio, he seems fine now, but he was.
No, Ricky's fine.
Yeah.
AD's already missed the game. I mean, guys resting. Who was the other one I got? Spencer. I mean.
Yeah, it's strange to see, but maybe people are just.
Do you think the Nets should try to play Kyrie and KD separately so that they aren't exposed? Yes, I think so. Without Spencer, they have to do that. I swear to God, if Shaman starts, Paul George been choking since the first year in OKC. Yeah, that's facts. That's
exactly.
Why Clipper fans are too soft on him. It's not the first time he did that. That's why I don't mess with Paul George like that.
Yeah, he's been choking for a minute.
I don't mess with a lot of our team is still on the fence for me. We gotta wait till the playoffs. I'm rooting for my team because I love the Clippers with all my soul. But it's like they gotta prove it to me. Like they let me down last year, and that's much stronger than whatever the fuck they're doing right now in the regular season. That don't mean shit. I know it's a new year. We want to forget about the last year, but you can't forget about last year. I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you gotta. You can't. Yeah.
What's up, Bruiser? First thoughts on Anthony Edwards? I like Anthony Edwards a lot. Great confidence. He's got a scorer's bag. He's just got to, come. I mean, once again, these games without Karl Anthony Towns, I feel like the Wolves are writing themselves off beforehand. Spurs beating Lakers tomorrow.
What's up, Tua boy?
We're at 24 minutes. I think we're gonna call it for the night. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna watch the Suns game tonight until it got really ugly. I'm gonna watch the Warriors game tonight. I heard that one looked pretty solid, and then the Wizards game, 0-4. My goodness. That one is the one I'm about to watch right now. We need to unpack all of that. Let's read the comments before we leave.
Someone threw an XD.
Speaking. He's a guest to our boy, my friend Jordan.
What's up, Tua?
Paul George is so inconsistent. He could have 33 points and spoil the Lakers' ring ceremony, and the next game he has 12 points. Yep. Lakers are overrated. They lost to the Blazers. Come on, it's one game. Media went crazy when Clippers lost by 52-0. Yeah, no one's going to talk about the Heat. Let's talk about the Heat losing. But anyway. That's all, guys. Peace out. Have a good night.
Peace out.
See you tomorrow. Good shit, man.
Thank you.